All right, welcome back to another episode of Titans by Two. Austin Nelson here with Brett Batchelor and a new guest of ours, Mr. Rob Paul. Rob, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you fellas doing?
Doing solid. Just glad you're here with us for this one.
We needed something to spice it up. Me and Brett get too boring sometimes, so we need an expert in here. But you can follow Rob on Twitter at RobPaul54. Rob is a draft analyst for us here at Armchair. So he knows his stuff, the prospects and whatnot. So we'll kind of pick his brain about that here in a minute. He's also the co-host of the Resting the Starters podcast. So if you have not checked that out, go do that on armchairallamericans.com. But we'll start, Rob, man. Since you're a big Rams fan, you run that account too at Armchair Rams. Obviously, Ndamukong Suh is probably the biggest free agent out there right now. So he met with the Titans last week. He met with the Rams here recently as well. So honestly, how bad do you want Ndamukong Suh? Because we want him just as bad as you do.
Man, just imagine Suh beside Aaron Donald, though.
You're crazy.
I mean, you guys have Jarrell Casey, so either way, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I hope he doesn't pick the Saints, though.
Wouldn't that be some crap?
If he goes to the Saints, that would be such like a vibe killer.
It sounds like it's between those three teams at this point, right?
Yeah, because he canceled his meeting with the Raiders too. So. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think the Rams will be able to pay him as much as the Titans, though, and I feel like that might be the difference.
So, but like between the Rams and the Titans, which defense do you think he fits better in, putting him alongside Jarrell Casey or putting him alongside Aaron Donald?
Well, both technically run base 3-4s, right? So Suh's at his best as like a 4-3-3 tech, but like no team really runs a true 3-4 anymore, and like JJ Watson in Houston with Rabel, like not a true 5 technique. Like they play him all over. Wade Phillips does the same thing. Like Aaron Donald will play anywhere from 5 tech, 3 tech, 1 tech, nose. Like at this point, like Suh's so talented. There's not like one front that fits him. But if you were to consider the 3 teams, it would be the Saints, in my opinion.
Kind of like you said, bro, that's just a buzzkill. It would be so weird to see Ndamukong Suh go from the Dolphins to the Saints. That's just not a quote-unquote sexy fit like the Rams, going to a contender. And not saying the Saints aren't, but it's just they've been notoriously bad over the years of having a bad defense. So just to put him in that defense would just – I make it a little bit better, but it's been that secondary that's been so bad for a few years now. But, yeah, no, it's cool just to finally see big-time free agents like Ndamukong Suh finally get a visit or just come to come hear what the Titans have to say. I tweeted out last week, and if you don't follow us, please do, at Armchair Tighten Up. We haven't – Rob, it's been a long time. We had Peyton Manning come visit the Titans back in the day. And we about shit our pants.
Yeah.
So it's been about since that long since we've had a free agent of this magnitude come, but it makes plenty of sense for him to go to the Rams for if he wants to compete for a championship. LA's right there as well with the Saints and Titans. So I think there's 3 good teams where he's at, and if he doesn't come here, oh well. I think the Titans can still go get a guy like Jonathan Hankins who just hit the free agent market. So there's a couple guys out there, but good luck, best of luck to you. I hope if we don't get them, I hope the Rams do for sure. All right, so here's something that I want to hit on. And Brett and I have been following it for the past couple days. I know Rob, you have too. But for those who don't know who Kevin Byard is, he's not a fan. He's actually an All-Pro safety for the Tennessee Titans. And Deion Sanders and him had some beef, and I thought that was kind of funny.
After Byard had those 5 picks in the 2 games last year and the 3 in the Cleveland game, you would have expected that he would have, quote unquote, gotten the call from Dion to be on NFL Network that night, and he never got it. So that showed a little disrespect right there off the bat. And then for Dion to go out and call him a fan shows that, okay, Dion really does not know who Kevin Byard is, especially after Kevin is coming off of an all-pro season where he led the league in takeaways and tied for interceptions. So Byard is coming off, and Byard loves loves to have a chip on his shoulder because he's a small town guy, small school guy. He thinks people always overlook him. Also, I know you said you had a class with him or something like that before at MTSU, so you've seen how he acts and things like this. Y'all went to the same school. And like Kevin Byard already said, that the comments that Deion Sanders made, he already made it as his screensaver on his phone. So it's barely past 24 hours of this even happening, and Byard is already ready to go.
What ticked Kevin off so much was that Deion Sanders, since Tyrann Mathieu just got signed by the Texans, Deion quoted and said, "Honey Badger is the best safety in the league." So Kevin quoted that tweet from NFL Network and said, "How do you make this statement and not include the 2 first-team AP All-Pro safeties at Deion Sanders? Hashtag I need answers." So Deion tweeted back at Kevin and said, "You're looking at who writers tell you who's the best. I know who players and former players feel is the best. I rest my case. You continue to be a fan, and I will continue being the man. Hashtag truth."
As Byard has the check mark next to his name for a verified account.
Deion must have been smoking something. Yeah, but that's just, it's kind of blown up now. I think it's been all over NFL Network and things like that. I'm just waiting for Deion to kind of publicly make an announcement or apology or something like that.
I don't think he will.
I doubt he will either. It's just the guy Deion is. So
his son's actually going on the midday 180 soon. I know that. So I don't know if he's going to back up his dad. I know Dion and the NFL Network declined to come on 3HL on 104.5 The Zone. So, if Dion wasn't going to go on the radio and not apologize on Twitter, I don't expect to hear anything from him in the near future at all.
For sure. But that was definitely something it's been on Twitter and whatnot, but a funny story for sure. So Rob, man, it's getting draft time, and this is why we brought you on the show to get your guru-ness and pick your brain about it. So let's hit on the Rams first, man. Let's talk a little about your team for a minute. Where do the Rams pick? What's their pick this year?
They're 23rd, so 2 picks before you guys.
Gotcha. So, who's a guy on the Rams' radar? Something. What a couple positions you guys need right now?
Well, they moved Robert Quinn, right? And now they basically have nobody on the edge. They have Matt Longacre, who's like an okay 3rd pass rusher, but ideally for them, they want Harold Landry from Boston College to slide to them. That's in a perfect world. I don't see that happening. Other than that, they could go center. John Sullivan's getting up there in age. They could go wide receiver with the loss of Sammy Watkins. I don't think that would be the smartest move. And they could even go left tackle and try and replace Andrew Whitworth. They have a lot of different places to go. It's a weird draft. It's not the deepest in terms of first-round talent. It's a lot of 2nd round talent spread over the first 3 rounds. So it's deep, but not high end deep. And the guys who are premier players are going to get pushed down the draft board because there's so many quarterbacks worth taking high. So you guys pick at 25, and y'all are in a weird position though. What would you guys? Yeah, well, what would you guys like? If I'm the Titans, more than anything, I want Rashaan Evans from Alabama, linebacker, to follow you guys. I don't know if he will, but he is perfect for their defense. You insert him at inside linebacker day 1. But again, I don't know if he'll be there. He's 23rd on my big board, but there's also a lot of linebackers in this class, so he could slide to y'all. But if what would you guys say is your biggest position of need?
So you hit it right there on the head. It's definitely I've been telling Brett this for a long time, and not only Brett, but the linebacker, it's just been a position of need for the Titans for a long time. If you just think about it, Rob, man, for so many teams, you have stud linebackers all over the place. Even with you guys before with Alec Ogletree was a stud. You had guys like Ryan Shazier. You have Anthony Barr, Luke Kuechly,
Khalil Lewis, Thomas Davis.
I guess a hybrid kind of guy. Von Miller. There's so many guys across the league, and the Titans have not had a guy like that. And God knows how long. Keith Bullock maybe. And that was
probably it.
the early 2000s. So linebacker for me has just been a position of want, I guess, for so many years. So Rashaan Evans falls to the Titans. Great. I mean, I would wrap him up in a heartbeat. Another guy, like you said, Harold Landry. I think pass rushing is definitely a need. We took a chance on Kevin Dodd a few years ago, and that has not paid out at all for us. Been inconsistent on and off the field with injuries and just bad play. I don't know if it was the system he was in or it was just a bad pick by John Robinson at the time. Brett and I talked about before cornerback, but now since Malcolm Butler has been drafted and added to us, I don't know if that will be a position of need as much. I know the guy I love the most in this draft is Denzel Ward, so I'm going to be interested to see where he falls. It's going to be early, but if he fell to 25, I definitely want him. But I mean, those are those guys. Brett, what do you think?
My biggest thing for forever, and I've talked about it with you a lot of times. I've always talked about the linebackers, and I feel like every week I talk about pretty much how terrible the coverage has been across the middle of the field in man-to-man and a lot of times in zone coverage from the linebackers. And so I think that's why, Rob, you mentioned Rashaan Evans. I wrote an article on him. It's on our Twitter page about 3 reasons why the Titans should draft Rashaan Evans, about how good of a linebacker he is and how he would fit with the Titans, and especially now with Avery Williamson being gone to the Jets. Wesley Woodyard, Brian Orakpo, and Derek Morgan are all over the age of 30. So they're good players, but they're all getting old as well. So really, my first look at it, and as it has been for the past couple of years, is I think that the Titans have to fill a void at linebacker. And I know Austin just hit on that, and he mentioned some other positions as well. But I think cut and dry, the number one need I think for the Titans is at linebacker, because they have to get somebody that can rush while Rack and Morgan drop back in coverage. Or Rack was very good in coverage last year. They have to get somebody that's able to come around the edge and get to the quarterback more often, because you can't rely on Jarrell Casey to do that every single play.
That, and to the point where Derek Morgan and Brian Orakpo are both in their 30s now, so you're going to need a guy a little bit younger to kind of grow. And that, like we said, it was Kevin Dodd at first, but now it hasn't been him. I don't know if they hold on to him for one more season or we'll just let it play out by training camp and preseason and whatnot. But Rob, I mean, what you just kind of said is it's a deep draft, I guess, quote unquote. I can almost see this being like where there are players in the 4th, 5th, 6th round making like Pro Bowls this season. It's just going to be that kind of year where it's so widespread where a guy like, I don't know, Royce Freeman gets picked up in like the 5th round and makes the Pro Bowl. Like, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Kind of. It's just it's deep.
There's definitely certain spots that, like running back, just mentioning Royce there, running back, interior offensive line, wide receiver, inside linebacker. A lot of those spots are real deep where you're going to get a guy on day 3 of the draft that could definitely make an impact early. And I think the Titans are actually in a nice position. Like, if I'm Tennessee, more than anything, like we already said, Rashaan Evans is the perfect pick. He's probably the best pass rusher for an off-ball linebacker in this draft class, which is perfect for the 3-4 with him playing inside linebacker beside Woodyard. And then after him, like in the 2nd round, I definitely think you guys hit it with Orakpo and Derek Morgan getting up there in age. Go after a pass rusher who won't necessarily have to play right away, because Morgan and Orakpo are both still solid players. But like get a guy like Josh Sweat is who I have written down here for Florida State, who's like, he's got all this talent, absurd athlete. He just never really got it all put together on the field at Florida State. And number one, they played him really out of position. It was bad and evident on tape. But get a guy like him who's not going to have to play every down right away. Learn from the older guys, develop him, maybe start using him in passing down situations for a little spark for the pass rush. And then in the 3rd round, I think you have to get – I know Corey Davis and Tywan Taylor, they took those 2 last year. I'm not a massive Tywan Taylor guy. Like, I think he's a good 4th wide receiver. But if you could get a true slot wide receiver in the 3rd round, which I think you can in this draft, Anthony Miller from Memphis.
Yeah, man.
That's a fit I really like. I don't know if he'll be there at the end of the 3rd round, but if he is, that's perfect.
You mentioned receiver, and you're not a big Tywan Taylor fan in the slot. Tajay Sharp played well his first year and was second in the team in receiving yards. Had the foot injury, didn't come back last year. I mean, I like Tajay personally, and I'm just interested to see how other people feel about him coming back after a year with an injury. Honestly,
It's funny because I was huge on Tajay Sharp coming out of the draft.
That's awesome.
He's a guy I really liked.
I mean, coming out, we just knew that he was, he led the nation in college at UMass and catch ball. So that was kind of a stat we all liked. And he did his job here. It just it was tough that he had to almost sit out last season due to an injury. He had he had no choice. But to kind of your point, last year, Rob, when Taywan Taylor was drafted, I thought it was kind of a risky move. He played well for us last year. We didn't throw it enough to him, but I was so big on Juju last year, so that was my guy. I was wishing the Titans got Juju, and you kind of see what happened to him. He flourished in Pittsburgh, but man, you keep talking about your big board. I'm just me being curious now. Who is number one on your big board right now?
Oh, Saquon Barkley.
I just want to make that known. Need the answer.
Yeah, he's definitely the clear number one for me.
So does that mean that he's the number one pick then?
No, I don't see a reason to take a running back in the top 5, maybe not the top 10 either.
as long as you don't have him going to Indianapolis, I'm fine with that.
Like, I think, especially with the quarterbacks, and if the Giants really want Saquon Barkley there at 2, that's just not worth the value when there's so many franchise quarterbacks in this draft. So I would trade out of that pick if they're not taking a QB. The other thing is, like I said earlier, there's a lot of running backs in this class. There's a chance Darius Geis slides to the second round, who I think he is very Marshawn Lynch-like. And even Ronald Jones from USC, who I love, he'll be there early second round. And today I was watching the USC Pro Day. He's drawing Chris Johnson comparisons.
So yeah, we saw mock drafts, and man, let me kind of make this note. I hate mock drafts. We could go online and all of us could go do a mock draft, but it's not going to be anything even close to what it's going to look like on draft night. I just think it's kind of crazy. It's so hard to predict the draft because, like you said, Rob, right now, I'm about to ask you in a minute if we had to do it right now, who your top 5 picks would be. But come draft night, 3 of those 5 teams could be out, and there could be 3 new teams in. It's just so crazy how the draft works. But before the Titans just signed Dion Lewis, I saw a few, and it was Ronald Jones was our pick at 25, which I would have been great with. I love Ronald Jones is probably my favorite back in the draft, just because he's so versatile and he draws those Chris Johnson comparisons. So I'm kind of homer to that. But if it was sitting today, you got to go 1 through 5 with the number 1 pick. The Browns take who?
Sam Darnold.
Okay, so Sam Darnold's your clear cut number 1 quarterback.
He's actually my QB 2, behind Josh Rosen. I just think the thing is, Rosen's a lot more pro ready versus Darnold's ceiling is significantly higher. Like, Darnold has the ability to be a top 5 quarterback, and the thing is, like, it's weird. It's hard to explain, but when you watch the tape, you just see this it factor that Darnold has that no other quarterback in this draft class has, and you just got to take your shot on that. And the only big bang against his game is his windup is a little wonky, kind of like Phillip Rivers-y. But especially because Cleveland traded for Tyrod Taylor, Darnold won't have to play. And I'm someone who doesn't believe you should ever play a rookie QB in his first year because there's a better chance it hinders their chances of making it. Obviously, there's circumstances where it pans out because the guy is that good. You guys, for example,
exactly.
Marcus, yeah, and I love Marcus. That I think he was. I have Winston above him, but both top 5 players in that draft. Yeah, so I just think Cleveland has to take Darnold at 1 for sure.
Okay, so Browns take Darnold, Giants take Rosen.
Yeah, if they don't trade out of the pick, the value is taking Josh Rosen, who's his mechanics and footwork are just so clean. I know there's He doesn't have like maybe the classic quarterback mentality and leadership skills because he's kind of hot-headed and people kind of knock him for having other interests other than football. But there is like, I would say if I were to say any of these QBs, he has the lowest chance to bust. Like he's going to be a starting NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he'll be a Super Bowl winning quarterback or even a top 8 quarterback, but I do think he could be a top 15 quarterback no matter what.
All right, so those 2 quarterbacks are gone. The Jets are now up. Are they taking Josh Allen?
They're taking Josh Allen, which I don't condone. I would hope they wouldn't, but I think they will.
All right. Go ahead.
Just to put that into perspective, so Josh Rosen is number 5 on my big board. Sam Darnold's number 8 on my big board. Josh Allen's number 40 on my big board. I'm not a big Josh Allen guy. He's my 5th quarterback, but if a team's buying into him, it makes the most sense for the Jets because they signed Teddy Bridgewater, they signed Josh McCown. There was 0 chance they would have to play Josh Allen, and he really needs to sit. But his arm talent is incredible. Him and Patrick Mahomes have the strongest arms I've ever seen.
It almost makes you kind of wonder why they signed Teddy Bridgewater because we understand Teddy had an awful injury, the ACL, but I mean, before he was injured, Teddy had it. Like Teddy was a good quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Minnesota thought like he was the guy to take them to a Super Bowl because they're close. They were close, and you saw last year they were very close to going to the Super Bowl. But it almost makes you wonder if they really think Teddy's their guy, and they signed him to a 1-year deal just to see what he can do. And then they draft like Saquon or somebody else, like a guard or Quentin Nelson, somebody like that to take fill a void for a year and hold on to Teddy. All right, so Browns are back up at 4. Who do they take?
This is where it gets interesting because now they're obviously not looking at a quarterback at 4. I would have had this written down as Saquon Barkley, but then they paid Carlos Hyde, which kind of deters me from thinking they would invest money into him if their plans are to draft Barkley that high, especially with they already have Duke Johnson on the roster, who's a very nice number 2 running back. And they do need help at DB. So this Denzel Ward really could go here.
Huh?
But I think it's Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama.
Yeah, I think it's Minkah too. That's got to be like the safest pick.
Minkah, exactly. That's the difference between like Denzel Ward. I think they're both going to be great players for sure. But Minkah, you can play him at corner, nickel, or safety. He's at his best as a nickel. He's also like got culture changer leadership skills too, which is something Cleveland definitely needs. So getting a guy like Darnold and him, one on each side of the ball, that are both culture changer guys, that's huge.
I have a buddy of mine who's friends with Minkah, and Minkah just has that swagger about him. I mean, quote unquote, just guys like OBJ and those guys. I'm almost like a Jamal Adams, just guys like that who know they're that good and they can back it up, and I think Minkah can do that for sure. So Denver's up, and I mean, dude, they landed Case Keenum in the draft or in the free agency. Who do they get now? I mean, who's Denver looking at?
They honestly, them signing Case Keenum made me think this even more. Prior to that, I thought it was Baker Mayfield for Denver, especially after the Senior Bowl where they coached Baker Mayfield's team. And then signing Case Keenum kind of like doubled down on that opinion for me because I see Case Keenum as like the floor for what Baker Mayfield could be. Like I think Case Keenum's a poor man's Baker Mayfield.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of sad to say.
Mayfield is the most accurate quarterback in this class. He definitely, obviously, you guys have seen it. He can ad-lib, make plays, like broken plays. He turns into like gold. He's also got the kind of like another guy where his cockiness, some will like that'll turn them off. But for me, I kind of like that about him. Like, yeah, you stick. They've been pretty much a defensive heavy team. You stick him in the locker room, and their offense starts to get a little bit of swagger. He reinvigorates some of those receivers like Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. But I don't know. I'm very much a fan of Baker Mayfield. All Rosen, Mayfield, and Darnold, I think, are all going to be franchise quarterbacks. Josh Allen's the big high risk, high reward guy, though.
So you're basically viewing, or you might not be, but do you view Case Keenum as more of a bridge guy for Baker in the future?
I do. I think he's like the high end bridge guy versus like, I mean, this is a good year for bridge quarterbacks because Tyrod Taylor, I don't mind him either. I think him, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, if he's a bridge QB now, but and Eli Manning, they're all in good positions not to play their starting quarterback.
So, okay, I got a question real quick. We're talking about all these quarterbacks and Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater and all that. It kind of confuses me that Arizona went with Sam Bradford. I know there wasn't much left, but do you see Arizona taking a quarterback at all in the draft, or did they just stick with Sam Bradford with the new coaching regime? Or, I mean, what in the world is Arizona going to do?
So I think they threw all that money at Sam Bradford because they had no other choice, right? And, like, we've seen Bradford have spurts of being a top 15 quarterback. So I definitely think they panicked. We're like, we have cap space that we don't need to use. Let's just give a guy who has been serviceable in his career when he's healthy a bunch of money so we at least have a competent starting quarterback at some point. If I'm Arizona, that's the spot for Lamar Jackson to me.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
Especially bringing in Steve Wilkes as their head coach. He was in Carolina with Cam Newton. Yep. He knows what an athletic quarterback can do. They kind of have a fresh start as a franchise, like new coaching staff, new quarterback, and obviously they have Dave Johnson coming back. But Lamar, you don't want to have to play him year one, but you craft an offense for him year two, and that Cardinals offense looks a lot more exciting.
Do you view the Cardinals taking like any receivers or anything like that? Because they lost John Brown to the Ravens, they lost Jerron Brown to the Seahawks. I mean, really now all they got is, I mean, they don't have a whole lot at receiver.
Yeah, no. So like I said earlier, it's a deep wide receiver class. I think in the third round you can get a guy, if you're that receiver needy, who's gonna be a starting receiver probably from day one. So Arizona could be targeting a guy in like the third round, like Equinemius St. Brown from Notre Dame or Dante Pettis from Washington. There's just a bunch of dudes who like I think there's about 18 receivers that can go in the first 4 rounds and contribute as rookies.
Wow. Okay. Who is your give me 2 guys that you're just in love with in this class? And the reason I say 2 is because I have 2 that I like a lot. One, and I followed this guy his entire last season at Oklahoma, was Mark Andrews, the tight end. I think he is stellar. Like anytime he got the ball, he's not slow. He's got the burners. He almost took it to the house. I feel like every time he had the ball, or at least had big games. So I like Mark Andrews a lot, and then Derwin James.
Yes, Derwin James.
Like I thought he would last season, but Derwin James, like you said, he could plug him anywhere as well. So Derwin James is my guy as well. But I mean, who guys you like, Rob? You're the draft expert.
Okay, I'll start with a guy I'm extremely high on that most people probably view as a back of the first round type talent. Connor Williams from Texas, the left tackle, who I've been on the Connor Williams train for a while. I think his 2017 tape wasn't as dominant as his 2016 tape. He was playing with a knee injury, but it was like, even though he had a down year in quotations, his tape was still better than every other tackle in this draft class. Like I saw flashes of Joe Thomas when I watched his 2016 tape. And then there's knocks about his length. Like his arms are only 33 inches, which is like the bare minimum for an NFL tackle. Yeah. But I also think if you take him and you're not okay with his length being enough for a tackle spot, you kick him inside the guard. And I think he could be Zach Martin-esque, who played left tackle at Notre Dame, wasn't long enough to play tackle in the NFL, so he's an all-pro guard for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that's a guy I think is a top 10 player that probably lasts till maybe 21 to the Bengals.
Okay.
And then another guy, this is a what seems like a deep sleeper. Trey Quinn from Southern Methodist is a guy I've been banging the table for. So you guys, I'm assuming, know Cortland Sutton.
Of course. Yeah.
This was the guy who played across from him at SMU.
It's, man, not to stop you, Rob, but it's funny, man. I went to high school and was very good friends with a girl, and Trey Quinn's her cousin. So when he got committed to LSU back in the day, man, she was all about it. I remember saying, hey, my cousin's a 5-star recruit. He's going to LSU. I said, no way. What's his name? Trey Quinn. And so that was just a little side story, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Quinn, like you mentioned, he went to LSU for 2 years, coaching changes, whatever, transferred, goes to SMU, plays across from Cortland Sutton, who has the first-round hype. And he isn't like the biggest guy, but he's got solid speed. I think his hands are very nice. He's got probably top 5 hands in this receiver class. His route running is solid. He's awesome after the catch. Stop-start ability's on point. Like he's a guy who might last, probably will last to the 4th round, that I'm super high on. We've seen in the past the first-round receivers don't really make that major an impact as rookies, but the guys who have like refined route running skills, those are the dudes who can make an impact as rookies. This year we had Cooper Kupp and Juju Smith, and I think Trey Quinn can be one of those guys for this class.
You speak of offensive alignment and who you like. The Titans re-signed Josh Klein and Quentin Spain, who a lot of people like both of them. I like Spain a lot. I'm still a little iffy on Klein, but John Robinson likes him a lot because of the deal that he gave him. But based on the deal that Spain signed with the Titans and things like that, a lot of people are still speculating that the Titans might draft an offensive lineman at some point. So who would be a guy okay, so first, do you think the Titans draft an offensive lineman? And 2, who is the guy that you like to fit with the Titans on the offensive line?
So again, for the Titans, it's a good year to be looking at interior offensive linemen because there's just so many of them this year, and they don't have to take one. I mean, like, obviously, like you said, they locked up Klein and Spain, 1 year?
Signed a tender deal, yeah.
Yeah. So they don't have to, like, immediately draft one in the first round like Will Hernandez or Isaiah Wynn, but they can wait to I'd wait to the 3rd round maybe, because there are guys who most years would go in the 2nd round that you can get in the 3rd round. A guy I like a lot, Wyatt Teller from Virginia Tech. He reminds me a ton of Richie Incognito, where he's like kind of a jerk on the field, plays through the whistle, has great run blocking ability. He's great on the pull. He's like the perfect left guard. Another guy I really like, Alex Kappa from Humboldt State, who was a left tackle until his arms came in at 32 inches. So now he's probably a guard. But he's another guy who's kind of a jerk, plays through the whistle, tons of pancake blocks at a small school, but still, guys like that you can get in the 3rd round. Even with the 4th round, you can get Sean Welsh from Iowa probably, who has some starter potential to his game. Like, it's a good year to maybe need a guard, but not desperately need one where you can wait.
Follow him on Twitter, Rob Paul, at Rob Paul 54. Not only do the Titans need help still at the guard position, but I mean also, like we said, the linebacking spot. There's a guy I like a lot, Leighton Vander Esch from Boise State. What's your opinion on him?
So that's another guy I have written down here that you guys might look at if Rashawn Evans is off the board at 25. Like, he is – it's weird. In a year, we usually don't see such tall athletic linebackers. And this year we have Tremaine Edmonds and Leighton Vander Esch, who are both 6'4", both 6'4 plus, both 250 plus, both freaky athletes. If you want to see insane tape, Vander Esch versus Oregon in their bowl game this year is awesome. The dude, there's this swing route, and he times it perfectly as the receiver's like the ball's touching his hands, just absolutely lays them out. That's the type of stuff Vander Esch brings. Like, he is sideline to sideline speed, massive, totally aggressive. The negative though is his instincts aren't fantastic. He's not always in the right place. I have him ranked, I think 36, 35th on my board. So I don't quite see him as necessarily a first round pick, but if the need is there, I get why the Titans would do it, and he's a good fit. And obviously, you stick a guy who's got all the talent in the world and just needs to work on the mental side of the game, and Mike Vrabel's your head coach, that's not such a bad fit.
Yeah, we expect the Titans to kind of draft defense heavy this year, as it's been offense kind of heavy in the past. So I think the Titans have 6 picks. I could be wrong. 6 picks, right, Brett?
I think so. Yeah, 6 picks.
6 picks. I mean, I could so see them going 4 out of 6 defense. If not, I mean, John Robinson's kind of our trade guru, so he might get more than 6 picks. But I definitely expect more defensive picks than offensive. Rob, dude, the Titans are getting new uniforms. I don't know if you've kind of seen our hype on this or not. Again, follow us on Twitter at Armchair Tighten Up. They come out 2 weeks from tonight. There's a huge party we're throwing downtown. The Titans are on Broadway with Florida Georgia Line doing a concert with it too. If you had to imagine the Titans jerseys, what would they look like?
I like the Titans jerseys, how they are. I mean, nothing beats the old Oilers jerseys, in my opinion. I love the Oilers jerseys. I actually used to own when Vince Young was drafted. I had a Vince Young Titans jersey. I like that. I think the Titans jerseys have a clean look. I like the color scheme, but I mean, I don't know. They have a lot of options. It's a cool. They have a cool logo. I'm into swords, so
yeah.
I don't think the Titans are going to change much. I don't know. Austin and I have been trying to figure this out for weeks, and we've tried to contact people that we know, and we've gotten absolutely nothing. So we've done our own speculation to a degree, if they're going to put more red in there, if they're going to change the logo from the sword to the secondary logo, or if there's going to be more two-tone blue, or I don't know. And me and Austin have said too, the Titans have done such a good job about holding it back and not letting anybody know anything about it. And then they put out the tweet the other day with Amy Adams Strunk and Taylor LeWan, and Taylor opened the box and it looks like there's a pot of gold in front of him, and that's all we see and stuff like that. So the speculation that they've brought and the attention that they've brought to want people to see them more and more has just got us on the edge of our seat like crazy.
Yeah, there's a post on Reddit, Rob, that somebody tweeted out, I think back on Monday or so, and it's a guy. He said that he's not a Titans fan. He said he just works at a sports distribution center, and they got the boxes in of the Titans jerseys, and he said that he opened the box up just to peek. He said they always do that just for random stuff like that, just to see kind of get the first look at it. And he said that a good word to describe him was busy. He said it's kind of like and from what I read, the gist I got, it's like a poor man's Patriots jersey.
Yep.
It's navy with some silver in it now in red, and I mean, like you said, dude, I like the jerseys now. It's just different. I think we need to change, and all the teams do here nowadays. I mean, a lot of teams now have had upgrades in jerseys and things like that. So we've been using the same jerseys since '99, and it's kind of it's due for an upgrade.
All I'm saying is that Amy Adams Strunk has been pushing this for 2 years now, so they better be good.
Oh, so Rob, but I gotta ask you. We'll end with this. When will the Rams go back to the original jerseys?
Man,
what's up?
They paired a bad helmet with the good jerseys this year, and it didn't make any sense. I don't know what's going on there, but they have to go back to the classic Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Greatest Show on Turf ones. Those are the ones I like.
Absolutely. Yeah. It only made – they need to go back and just – what they have going on with the navy and white is just it does not work for them. They need to do the blue and yellow and make that the national brand. And it's going to take over. That's what everybody wants to wear. And usually when you see a Rams jersey, I guess from here, because, we have people in Tennessee, or our Georgia fans and our, big Todd Gurley guys. So, you'll see the old school throwback Todd Gurley jerseys every now and then. But yeah, dude, I hate the combination you guys have now. I hate looking at it. It looks disgusting on TV.
Totally agree.
But Rob, dude, it was a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, man. Go follow him on Twitter at Armchair, at Rob Paul 54. When's the Rest in the Starters podcast usually come out?
We come out Friday mornings.
There we go.
So we'll look forward to tomorrow morning. But again, Rob Paul, the Armchair All-Americans draft expert.
Our version of Mel Kiper Jr., and we like to think of him as better than Mel Kiper.
Man, I think I like Todd McShay more than I like Mel Kiper, to be honest with you.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Mel's just got that voice that projects and makes it sound like he really knows what he's talking about.
But Brett Batchelor, man, Austin Nelson. This was Titans by 2. Thanks for listening. We're out.
Tighten up.